Joe King comes out on stage and says,
"Hello, yes, my name's Joe King. I'm not joking, though I prefer to be called Juris Dr. King. Okay, so one time my son, when he was 3, while I was laying on my bed, he looked at me and said, 'You look like the potty.' And he proceeded to sit on my head and pretended he was taking a shit. And then, of course, he did take a shit. It gave new meaning to the term shithead. Okay, my son also has the great coupling of loving Thomas the Tank Engine and not saying his R is exactly right yet. Instead of R, it's ah. And one of Thomas the Tank's friends is a train named Percy. So my son refers to Percy as Pessy. And he has a game on his iPad where there are all different types of Pessy. White Pessy, Christmas Pessy, even chocolate Pessy. I'm happy for him that he likes Pessy so much at such a young age. Now, remember when people used to say, that shit is whack? I remember being a teenager and hearing people say whack and thought it was bizarre. But I finally came around on it years later. But now that I say it, no one else says it anymore. Then I realized it's because we're in a politically correct climate now, and whack is short for wacko, which means insane. So once I finally got comfortable saying the slang word, it turns out to be a derogatory slur for the mentally ill. So whack is basically a cuckoo nard. So you know how if something is said that it's a negative stereotype about Jewish people, it's called a canard. Well, I suggest that if something is said that is a negative stereotype about crazy people who are cuckoo, it be called a cuckoo nard. There are so many cuckoo nards, think how often people call things crazy or insane. How do you expect crazy people in their multiple personalities to handle such slights? What I can't stand about cancel culture is that it's arbitrary and capricious. It protects Jews, blacks, gays, lesbians, bisexuals, transsexuals, queers, non-binaries, polysexuals, asexuals, and the mentally challenged. Now the last one bugs me because if it protects the mentally challenged, why don't crazy people get the same PC coverage? If you make fun of the mentally challenged, they won't even know what you're talking about. Not so with the crazies. Go ahead and listen to other people. Most of them won't say the R word anymore regarding the mentally challenged. But on a daily basis, they're liable to say that someone or something is crazy, nuts, or insane. No one cares about the sanity-challenged individuals. They're targeted both by the insensitive cultural slang used by others as well as the CIA. So here's a little update for you all on some words and how the sanity challenge might feel about them. Crazy. From now on, that's the C word. And if I hear any cunt out there using it, I'm going to find it very insensitive. Insane. That's the I word. I would suggest no longer using it. Nuts. Move over, black people, because now there's a new N word. Okay, so instead of saying something is crazy, insane, or nuts, keep in mind all the Looney Tunes out there and just stick with the term sanity challenged. Okay? Okay, very good.
King walks off stage and onto another stage and sits at a seat behind the desk and says,
"Please welcome to the program one of the funniest and most beloved comedians of all time, Robin Williams."
Robin Williams emerges from behind a curtain and pretends to spike a football and then dances around and does a cartwheel before running over to the seat next to King's desk. King.
"Mr. Williams, welcome to the program."
Williams. "Juris Dr. King, oh won't you sing for the American dream." Williams gets up out of his seat and pretends to play an imaginary trumpet. Applause, applause, applause. As Williams sits back down, King says,
"Now I know this might be tough for you, Robin, but I want to keep this interview on the straight and narrow."
Williams.
"Ah, an arrow!"
Williams acts as if he's been hit by an arrow and writhes around on his seat before falling to the floor. King.
"No, Robin, not an arrow,
stands up and salutes King and says, "Aye, aye, Captain." King.
Okay, very good, okay. Now, you were born in Chicago?
William starts dancing as he sings, "Chicago, Chicago, that toddling town." King.
Is that a yes or a no, Mr. Williams?
William sits back down and says, "That's a yes, Chicago, Chicago, my kind of town." King.
Now, Mr. Williams, you were born out of Chicago, but then you moved to Detroit when you were 12, and then San Francisco when you were 16.
Williams.
Oh, sweet 16, how sweet it is. You get to piss in the fountain, that's what it is.
King. Robin, if we're going to get anywhere with this interview, I need you to tone down the crazy over-the-top Robin Williams and instead hone in on the Robin Williams from Dead Poet Society, Good Will Hunting, that sort of thing.
Williams. Very well. Your move, Chief.
King. Very good. Now, Robin, when you graduated high school, you were voted funniest by your classmates, which is no surprise. But you were also voted most likely not to succeed. Did you ever feel like your later success was a big fuck you to the people who voted you that?
Williams. No, I never really saw it that way. I saw the vote as tongue-in-cheek, as there's a lot of success in being funny. You should try it sometime.
King. Very good. Now, what's with you talking so fast? Does your brain just work faster than the rest of ours?
Williams.
What is it about your mind? What is it that does this thing to you? Try to explain yourself.
Williams gets up from his seat and says, "It comes from a deep part of myself that was looking for my mother. But yet I saw that moment when she looked up there and went, okay, I'll be funny for her. But okay, that's fine, work that way. Come back down from that and realize after a while that I want to be accepted." You like me! You really like me! No, it's not that. I can be trained. I can actually show you how intelligent I am. I can use a word like delicatessen and actually know what it means. Or invertebrate. Williams goes limp as if he doesn't have a backbone before standing back up and saying, "Or inveterate. Or degenerate." But all of that is just part of it because it's all part of the mind that actually flows like that because I realize that the human mind is a 3.5-pound gland that pumps neurons constantly and deals with itself by responding to stimulus. That's what we're designed to do, evolve slowly. That's why even Darwin's going, "I have hopes! I have such high hopes!" It's all a part of it because I believe the human mind is adapting and evolving slowly but surely, but I'm trying not to speak that fast because eventually you have to catch up. William sits back down. Applause, applause, applause. King.
Okay, very good. Now, you went to college for a little while before getting into the Juilliard acting program in New York City, where you were classmates with Christopher Reeve.
Williams.
That's right, Superman indeed.
Williams gets up with his hands outstretched and starts pretending to fly around like Superman. As Williams sits back down, King says,
"You know, I would have figured with your name being Robin, you would have become friends with a future Batman instead of Superman."
Williams.
Is that you trying to be funny again, sport? Why don't you leave that to the professionals?
King.
Okay, well, very good. Now, you left Juilliard and started doing stand-up in San Francisco before moving to Los Angeles to continue doing stand-up. How was that?
Williams. It's a brutal field, man. They burn out. It takes its toll. Plus the lifestyle, partying, drinking, drugs. You're on the road, it's even more brutal. You gotta come back down to mellow your ass out. And then performing takes you back up. They flame out because it comes and goes. Suddenly they're out and then somebody else is out. Sometimes they even get very bitter. Sometimes they just give up. Sometimes they have a revival thing and they come back again. Sometimes they step. The pressure kicks in. You become obsessed and then you lose the focus that you need.
King. Okay, very good. Now, from your stand-up, you eventually got cast in a guest spot on Happy Days, which led to the Mork and Mindy show.
Williams.
This is getting boring. Are you just going to go through my whole life story? You are boring your audience.
King.
What the fuck else am I supposed to talk about instead? You'd rather we talk about Billy Crystal's career?
Williams.
Just hurry up. I got a stand-up show in front of a few hundred dead people in about 10 minutes.
King.
Okay, now after Mork and Mindy was axed, you started to have quite a film career.
Williams.
That's right, Juris Dr. King. I was a big-time movie star, baby. Nobody could touch me.
King.
including a truly breakout performance in Good Morning Vietnam.
Williams. Good morning, here's Dr. King. Now let's wrap this up now. I was in a lot of movies, kid, and I'm the real king here.
King. Fair enough. But in a rather surprising twist for someone who seemed to be the poster child for ADHD, you ended up in a lot of great dramatic performances, including Patch Adams, Dead Poets Society, Awakening, The Fisher King, and Good Will Hunting, for which you received an Academy Award.
Williams.
Are you forgetting Mrs. Doubtfire, you glittering, clattering, terrible excuse for an interviewer?
King. Well, there's also a few others. I loved you as the genie in Aladdin.
Williams. If I had a genie right now, I'd wish for this interview to wrap up.
King. As well as Hook, Jumanji, What Dreams May Come, Insomnia, and 1 Hour Photo. Speaking of what dreams may come, does that title refer to dreams splooging all over the place?
Williams. God, you're a terrible excuse for a comedian.
King. Wow, that's exactly what you dream about hearing from your heroes. Anyway, that movie was about what it's like after people die. Was that movie accurate about life after death?
Williams. Well, I'm not going to give anything away with the surprise. You're just going to have to find out for yourself when you die.
King. Very good. Now, you did a lot of work for USO tours.
Williams.
I feel like I'm on tour in Fallujah right now. Can you wrap this up already?
King. So you don't feel like talking about life after death?
Williams.
I definitely don't feel like hanging around that much longer with you, so no.
King. Okay, then, fine. Robin Williams, everybody.
Williams gets up and shadow boxes before taking a bow. Applause, applause, applause.
King. That's all the time we have for this episode, but tune in to the next one where we interview another deceased guest. Until then, I'm Joe King, and I'm not joking.